Morning. My name is Bill Dimpel. I'm the director of the Staten Island Employment Education Consortium. We're located at 30 Bay Street in St. George. And we've been down there for a number of years. Our organization began in 1979. At that time, we were located over at the College of Staten Island. And we've had a number of programs through which we've managed to put in jobs people who are desperately in need of work and have no way of getting back into the marketplace. Our first program began in 1979, so we've been in existence for 38 years at this point, and the organization during that time has placed a number of people who were on public assistance and people who were desperately in need of employment. Right now, we've got 3 or 4 programs that we're running. Some of the other programs that we did have one time was CETA 4 programs. There was an OST program where we placed people who were in school and in need of employment. The opportunities that we've provided for Staten Islanders have been extensive, and we've managed to find for them an opportunity to recreate themselves where they thought they didn't have a chance to get into the job market. We're able to do so for them. Now, one of the programs that we're currently doing is the GED program. We're preparing people for the GED through our ABE program. That's the Adult Basic Education. Interestingly enough, the teacher that we have that's currently teaching in our GED program is Jack Minogue, who's been teaching for close to 60 years. And he's been at Port Richmond High School. He taught there, as well as in St. Peter's High School. Rosalie Signorelli is the other teacher for the ABE class. And between the two of them, they've placed hundreds of people through to help them to secure their GEDs. The program is currently running Monday through Thursdays from 9 o'clock until noon. We also have a classroom computer program which is kicking off in the middle part of January coming up. And that program is one in which we're providing training in the Microsoft Word, that's Word, Excel, Access, and PowerPoint. And the opportunities from that, we also place them into jobs. For those, we need vouchers. In other words, the vouchers that typically are received through the Access program, or what used to be referred to as VESID. We currently also have a Ticket to Work program, and Ticket to Work program is a program where we work with the disabled folks. These are the Staten Islanders and people from Brooklyn and off of the borough who have disabilities, be it psychological or be it physical or whatever. And we give them an opportunity. But there's no training for them per se. We do resume preparation and review with them their work capabilities. And we do network on their behalf. We do as much as we can to help them to feel good about themselves and to become self-sufficient again. Those programs are still available and very much actively going. One of the programs that we're most excited about right now, however, is a program that we've gone into partnership with my good-looking gentleman on the right of me, and his name is Luke Nasta. He's the executive director of Camelot Counseling Center. Luke?
Good morning, Bill. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
You're doing great, buddy. Yeah. Camelot is, well, first of all, Bill and I know each other, I think, since the early 1980s. Right?
Yep.
Where Bill and I worked together at Camelot. Bill was the vocational counselor. So we have a long-term relationship and fantastic degree of mutual respect for each other. The consortium is located in sort of the municipal area of Staten Island, right down in St. George, right there on Bay Street. And the type of clients that Bill works with, we thought when he and I do our occasional conversations about how each other is doing and how the the people of Staten Island are doing, we thought, well, maybe there's a way to offer counseling services to Bill's clientele, students. Because Camelot not only works with those people, well, let me tell you about, I guess I didn't explain what Camelot is. Camelot is a substance abuse treatment program that was established on Staten Island in 1971 by the North Shore Kiwanis Club. And it was to address the heroin problem on Staten Island in the mid-late 60s, early 70s. And we continue to provide those services. It's 46 years later. And we're in the throes, that is, our society, and Staten Island society, is in the throes of an epidemic of overdoses caused by prescription opioids or heroin. So that's just the capsule version of who Camelot is. We're a treatment provider. We have outpatient services, ambulatory services. We have 2 residential programs, 24-bed in the Port Richmond area. We have the outpatient program is in Port Richmond. We have a 45-bed residence for men on the grounds of the Seaview Hospital campus. We are in the process of demolishing the building that we've been in since 1973 and rebuilding a 35-bed residence there with an outpatient component. And we've just been notified that we've been given an award by the New York State Office of Alcoholism and Substance Abuse Services to establish Staten Island's first intensive residential treatment program for substance use disorder for women. That'll be a 25-bed program, and it's targeted for also one of those buildings that require extensive renovation on the campus of Seaview Hospital. Okay, so that's what Camelot does. So when Bill and I talked about what additional services could be provided to his existing students, clients, we talked about providing some counseling services, specifically around the issue of substance use. Now, Camelot is licensed to not just work with those people who have the substance abuse problem, but anyone who's been affected by someone with a substance use problem. And that could be alcohol, certainly alcoholism, or what's making all the headlines today because of the overdose deaths are the prescription opioids and heroin. But we can work with anyone who's been affected by that. Now, that could be a spouse, a girlfriend, boyfriend, parent, sibling. If you've had any exposure where it's impacted on your life and you can benefit from some counseling services, we're licensed and authorized to provide those services. So we've started the program, and we hope to see it grow. Now, in addition to that, we applied for another RFP, which is a request for proposal. We submitted an application to the New York State Office of Alcoholism and Substance Abuse Services to open a youth clubhouse. Now, a youth clubhouse would be open during the hours after school and on the weekend. So it's part-time hours, after school and on the weekend. And it ties into all the services that the consortium also currently provides, because it's support, education, training, computer literacy, and we hope to attract, if we're successful and get the award, we're hoping to attract youth from the area, certainly from the public high schools, Curtis and McKee, to come to the center and find a place to do homework, find a safe place, a place where drug use is not happening, since it's happening, since our society is saturated with it, this would be a sanctuary away from that. And we'll hope that we will get that program.
We're very excited by the prospect and the partnership that Luke has alluded to. And we've already had a number of people who have taken advantage of it. But I want to make sure that you understand that this program is not just for our students. The program is open up to anybody in the vicinity who finds that we're not only accessible but convenient for them. So we want them to take advantage of it. And we've made overtures to a number of agencies, the not-for-profit agencies within the vicinity, and to the programs that I'm trying to think of the HOPE program. Is that the name of the program?
Yeah, that's the District Attorney Mike McMahon's HOPE program.
Right.
That's correct.
In that particular program, we were hoping that because in the advance, it refers to the fact that they're constantly being somewhat overwhelmed by the numbers and the amount of returns that people have come to them asking for help. And if, in light of that fact, we want to see that everybody gets help in a timely fashion. So consequently, Luke, and in the program that we have at the consortium, offers itself as well to any of the people that would like to take advantage of that program. And as Mr. Nasta referred to, that it's not just for the clients, it's for the clients' families. Psychosocials are things that are being provided as well. And the program itself offers a wide variety of counseling sessions. As you know, if people drop out of school, all of our students are dropouts. And the reason why they dropped out could have been an extremely complex factor in their lives and whatnot. But one of the things that they have not learned probably is the tenacity to stick with something and all. And that's part of the counseling session as well, to help them to pull their lives together and recognize that they are capable of doing so. We're very pleased with the fact that, and as I said before, it's not an overstatement if I say that we're absolutely thrilled with the fact that Luke is looking at the opportunity of coming down. We were located in the College of Staten Island at one time when we first opened up, and everything, as you know, stems off from the ferry. All transportation leads to the ferry. So the ferry and that vicinity is an area that the amount of people and the response should be phenomenal right now, and we're hoping that you take advantage. I'm going to give you our phone number. I think that's probably a decent idea, or should I hold off till the end?
Good idea.
718-816-6700. That's 718-816-6700. Feel free to give us a call. We're in there every Monday through Friday. Actually, right now, the sessions we've started off on a part-time basis. We're waiting to the response to come open up to a full-time endeavor for the people in Staten Island. The need is terrible. As you know, I'm from the Great Kills vicinity, and the South Shore is not spared at all with this problem. A very dear friend of mine who passed away within the last year, just a year ago, 26 years old. Fentanyl, of course, in the mix with the heroin. And that, of course, is a spin-off from the oxycodone. So the problems are very real, and the problems are something that are absolutely overwhelming at this point. And we want to take advantage of the programs. And at some point, after 46 years of Luke providing this service on Staten Island, they'll be erecting a statue somewhere in the island when you finally decide to leave us, Luke. But the 80-some-odd years of together working as not-for-profit agencies is a tribute to both the agencies and the fact that God has given us the grace to continue as long as we have. But I thank you very much for extending the opportunity down to the consortium.
It's all about getting the services out there to people. It's all about providing more access and encouraging people to come and get help. It's extremely difficult to get people to come for services. Out of those who require the services, and this is nationwide, they estimate maybe 1.5 out of 10 people get the services. All the rest that require the services, and I'm talking about the people who actually are using drugs, don't ever get treatment for it. And frankly, they're the tip of the iceberg, as are the overdose deaths, the tip of the iceberg. because it's estimated that 1 in 10 overdoses results in a death. So what about the other 9? What about those who don't overdose? What about those overdoses that go unreported? And what's the impact on the greater society of this scourge, this plague that's had 20 years of momentum? What kind of damage has it done? It's probably the single issue nationwide that binds us all together. It's bipartisan. It's not gender oriented. It's not economic or educational. As a matter of fact, it's not assigned exclusively to poverty and those in poverty. As a matter of fact, it's those who have an education, who all come from families that are employed, gainfully employed, who have benefits, health benefits, may own private homes. This is the group that's most affected by the 20 years of prescription drug abuse, now morphing into heroin addiction. The national health statistics, the chart, when they show the chart of poverty over, say, a half a dozen years, the poverty level and the people involved with drugs is pretty steady, like this, straight across. When they refer to those who are families who are gainfully employed and people who are gainfully employed, it's like a skyrocket. That's who's being affected primarily by it now. Which isn't to say that the addiction problem has gone away in the poverty areas, but it's stayed steady. Nothing's changed. There's no dramatic change there. It's pretty much a middle class, upper middle class. You can say it, if you want to put a race on it, you can say it's white, but it's not. It's certainly not just whites.
Right. What do you think the main reason why people are reluctant to seek help?
Well, there's embarrassment. They're embarrassed. They feel it's a moral failing or a failing of them as parents. The user themselves, it almost can't conceive of life without being on the drug. Right. And the nature of the addiction and the psychological dependence on the drug, one of the characteristics is to deny its existence, the extent of its existence, and the need for help to break the cycle. With families, now the families are, when I was referring to embarrassment, that's the families don't come forward because of embarrassment and a feeling of failure as a parent. What did I do wrong? Did I neglect? How did I contribute to this problem? They don't want their extended family to know about it. They don't want their neighbors to know about it. They don't want their coworkers to know about it. And it keeps families away from coming and getting assistance, because we can help the individual with the addiction through the family. As a matter of fact, after 4 decades, we're able to determine that those who are successful post-Camelot treatment, post-substance use disorder treatment, are those people whose families were involved in the treatment. They were actually involved in our family association, which is open to the public, no cost. This isn't a matter of you have to have insurance benefits, or you need to second mortgage your house. This is no cost to families at all, and where they can meet with other family members under our guidance and understand the ramifications, the dynamics, the behavior of the active addict, and the role that they play. And it's not to make them feel guilty about what they're doing, but it's to explain to them the dynamics and the characteristics of living with an addict in your immediate family. And they make lots of mistakes, which is called enabling. And they need to understand where they're aiding the addiction and where they're looking to confront the addiction, and the differences. And after a while, when they get a better picture and they're able to shed their embarrassment about talking about the topic and owning the topic, and their family member is completed treatment in Camelot, the family actually takes the program with them, because they now have learned the signs and the appropriate responses and actions that need to be taken. So if the primary client relapses, the family will know it, know what their reaction was in the past that was not helpful, not replicate that, instead do what they were taught to take action, positive action immediately, and bring the person back into treatment again. It's not, treatment for addiction is not a one-shot deal where you come in, you own the problem, you submit to the treatment, you're successful, you go through, you complete, you're successful, and that's it. You're done. It's all history. It does not work like that, because those who are dependent upon substance misuse, their brain chemistry is changed, it's rewired. It'll never be the same than before they became dependent. And their behavior during their active addiction leaves both psychological and social scars on them. They'll never see life again through the same eyes as before they were involved in drugs, with drugs and that behavior. So, and there may be childhood trauma that doesn't ever get resolved. You can't make that go away. However, you can address it, explore it, understand it, and gain control over it, so it doesn't have control over you and your self-destructive behavior.
Right. Well, I guess that's one of the reasons why they rarely, if ever, if they use the term recovered, that they're reminded that they haven't recovered. Nobody is in the process. Everybody's in the process of recovering.
That's right.
In other words,
that's right.
Until they draw their last breath, and they haven't recovered.
That's very, very true.
And I'm thinking you brought to mind because I worked in Mount Loretto for a number of years. Worked down there for 11 years as a recreation director. And I can remember this one young man, and you know that everybody knows Mount Loretto is a place where kids end up because of problems with their mothers and fathers, circumstances. Invariably, it used to be because of the fact that they're not orphans nowadays, what they basically were. Parents couldn't cope with the condition raising the kids. So consequently, what happened was that many of the parents were doing drugs, and their families were, absolutely split up. And turned out this young man had, and I remember so many Christmases that the kid was waiting for his mother to show up to bring them home for Christmas holidays, and she invariably never show up. And what happened is she passed away, and he felt that the only way he could respond to her demise was by writing a letter to her, telling her all the reasons why he was so upset and disturbed by his upbringing and all, and he got it off of his chest.
Right.
Just as you were talking
Right.
about the issues, exploring the issues, dealing with and coping with what is, I guess, the closure that is something that they're looking for and all. So it's a complicated process, as you say. It's not done in one session.
You know, it's the national average for people who enter treatment and have treatment episodes, and then so the national average for when it takes hold and when it's successful is 5. Now that 5 could span a decade, decade and a half, 2 decades,
Right.
or maybe an overdose death. And it's an extremely complex problem. There is no one answer. There's no silver bullet to slay the monster. We need to work from our prospective disciplines. Each discipline, whether it's an employer, a parent, an educator, a physician, a pharmaceutical company, we all need to work from our disciplines to look at this epidemic that's taken so many lives. In 2016, it was reported 76,000 or 67,000 died from overdose deaths.
Incredible.
Yeah, and that's a
That's the known figure. In other
that's
words,
known.
Yeah,
That's not the real.
many,
That's not the real number.
it's probably twice as much. And I also want to comment quite simply on the fact that if anyone needs to be convinced that Camelot is the premier agency for dealing with this problem, this major epidemic on the island, they should take a visit to the residential center at Seaview. Of course, the one in Port Richmond
It's
is
open to the public.
It's a phenomenal
Open to
spot.
the public.
I was a military policeman when I was in the service, and we were spit shine and polished, but I've never seen anything as together and as tight and as well run as his operation. How long is the typical stay there, Luke?
6 months is the minimum. Could be 9 months or 12 months, followed up by outpatient counseling.
You take people throughout Staten Island, but also in some of the other
That's
boroughs.
correct.
too.
And it's not about money. It's not about we'll figure a way to get reimbursed to continue our services. Our government contract is our safety net. We're not looking to put our hand in people's pockets. Whether they have insurance benefits, they don't. We're a true non-for-profit.
Right. When you say you're open to the public, do they call at your facility?
Yes.
In other words, make an appointment, just not because of the fact that anybody's scurrying about to clean up the place. It's because of the fact that you want to make sure they have somebody there to take you around and to show you the facility.
Yeah,
And,
you can call us at 718-356-5100. 718-356-5100.
Okay, I just want to close out by saying that we couldn't be more delighted with the fact that Mr. Nasta and Camelot, who is Camelot personified, that he has seen fit to join us down and make it more accessible, the drug program on the North Shore. He's been on the North Shore for years, but also in the St. George area. He's covering a lot more territory, and there isn't a spot on Staten Island that Luke is going to let go by without addressing. So, Luke, again, thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you for being a friend. Travel down the road and back again. Your heart is true, you're a pal and a confidant. I'm not ashamed to say, I hope it always will stay this way. My hat is off, won't you stand up and take a bow?